Hello again, it's time for another video response. Um, uh, Today's topic is going to be about physics. There was recently Neil deGrasse Tyson made a statement about physics, about whether or not the universe has purpose or not. And he said you can't know for sure if it has purpose. Said he said it has a very, very slight chance that it might have purpose, but it probably doesn't have purpose. And he said that someone that claims that the universe does have purpose is doing so without a factual basis. Okay, I disagree with that because there's a lot of things that people really don't understand about physics, including Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, the 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 things, the physics, the things that we're made of, the matter that we consist of, is one set of elements. It's one set of elements that makes up the entire universe. 17 of the most common elements are absolutely essential in life forms. So, in other words, you have 17 actual, absolutely essential working machine parts inside of you. And another additional equal amount, or almost equal, is are beneficial elements, elements that are benefit. And what we don't use, things like noble gases and silicon, they're used for other things like starlight, sunlight, and the earth we stand on. So that just about covers everything. Every single element is an essential part of the universe. Okay, that's just to start out with. Because in case nobody ever taught you this, now you should know that no, not even one element is by chance. It's all it's all composed of the same matter. Every element consists of the same matter. And I was even talking to somebody who said well, he wasn't too sure about that, whether everything consists of the same matter. Neutrons, electrons, and protons. Everything consists of the same thing. They just have different densities, different weights, different makeup. And it determines what it is. It determines what element it is. How many neutrons, protons, and electrons it has. So, not even the elements are without a purpose in the life forms. And you have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that there's a 99.999% chance that it has a purpose, and it probably does. It's more likely the other way around. The probability, if you're honest, and if you understood everything, the probability of a maker would be 99.9999999%. In other words, it's clear we do have a maker. Okay, in my biology video, I already went through what biology consists of. It consists of programmed elements, elements that are programmed to be specific things. And this program is not able to rewrite itself. It can only rewrite and reprogram what it already has. So that each different life form contains basically all the same information, it just expresses different parts of the information in different ways, so that we don't all look the same, we don't all act the same. And there are variations. There is genetic drift, there is a warping to the information, there is a degradation of the information, but there is never any regeneration of the information, or there is never any new information coming up. You might recall a video of Richard Dawkins, if he recalls any example of any new information being added to the genome, and he sits there and thinks a little bit, thinks, and then he says, stop the video. Then he comes back and says something totally irrelevant, nothing even closely related to what the question was. That's how bad these people are. These so-called people call themselves scientists. Now we have Bill Nye, he's a movie actor, and you have Tyson, he's attacking Christians now, trying to say that the universe doesn't have a purpose. I just went through the elements, proving with the elements that it has a purpose. And if the universe doesn't have a purpose, where does that leave you? It means you don't have a purpose. And that's just not the case. The universe doesn't have a mind, means you don't have a mind. And that's not the case. It's not that the universe has a mind. The universe doesn't have a mind. Don't let people convince you that objects have a thinking process. They don't. They don't program themselves. They don't assemble themselves. There is such a thing as self-assembly of certain molecules, but they don't actually make a function. I mean, they do what they're supposed to, what they're made to do in the biological life form, but they don't have any unique function or purpose that's not related to life forms in some way. So we have all this information, and just the mere fact that you can look out and see and know and understand what happens so far away is just phenomenal. It's the fact that we can see across the room, we can see across the city, we can see across the horizon, we can see across and see stars, planets. It's just really absolutely amazing, which shows it's telling us there's no end to the ability of the one that programmed us, the one that made us. Now this program is what lets us know that we have a maker, because no physical thing no physical law, nothing, no natural thing is able to program any kind of mechanism, any kind of function, any kind of a life form that has intent, which proves that the origin of our programming, the origin of the working parts inside of us that all fit together and literally obey the written word, the elements that we take in, that we consume, literally obey the written word and go and do exactly as they're commanded to do or forced to do. Everything is by way of force. One force on another force, and forces interacting. But it's not without a program. Forces don't program themselves. Now, this is all elementary physics, and I shouldn't be here telling anybody these things, because everybody should already know all this stuff. So the other thing is that I need to explain is the distance of the stars. The distance of the galaxies. Now, these galaxies have an appearance of being very, very far away, and they probably are very, very far away. The only thing is that you can't put a number on it. You can't put a date on it, because of the fact that the fabrication of time-space itself is all relative and subject to change. Everything that we see is a fabrication. You're a fabrication, I'm a fabrication, everything is a fabrication. The maker of the fabrication is not a fabrication. We are caught up in this fabrication. We're confined to this fabrication of time-space. We're confined to space, we're confined to time. And time itself is relative. Space itself is relative. It's not a constant. The Bible explains it as being stretched out. The background radiation that they use as evidence for the Big Bang is evidence of the universe being stretched out. But you have no way of measuring, at least not at this point, exactly how far or how old the universe is, because of the mere fact that it's a fabrication that was stretched out for us to see. And so you can't put a number on it. You can't put a number on it. And it's irrelevant anyways. It's irrelevant because we have a recent history of the Earth's past. The Earth is undeniably about 5,000 years old. The geology that we have, I have a geology video as well that explains the geology. The Earth is undeniably about the recent Earth's history of the global flood is about 5,000 years ago, using a round figure. And this is true because it can't be more than 15 million years, because all the sediments, all the layers of strata that we see would be all washed into the ocean if it was any more than 15 million years. So you can forget millions of years as far as the Earth's recent history. You can forget millions of years, you can forget billions of years, because all life was buried by the flood no more than about 5,000 years ago. And everything, everything that was on Earth is buried in those consecutive layers of water deposited sediments. Now you can't have consecutive layers of water deposited sediments being stacked over millions of years, over billions of years. It's not possible, because erosion never erodes flat. It doesn't exist, it doesn't happen. Only in partially you might have a plateau or something that's washed off, but that's because the layers are already there. But then you'll have gorges, you'll have valleys. You will never have layers stacked on top of each other for hundreds of miles without having a global flood, because it's everywhere around the world. The entire geography, the geology of the Earth, in the geography of the Earth, consists of the layers. Okay, so physically speaking, you can't rely on the apparent age of the universe. It's not reliable, because it's a fabrication, because it's relative. And you were not there. You have no way of knowing the universe was there millions or billions of years ago. You can't know that, because what you're looking at is a fabrication. Okay? And that one detail is probably the hardest thing to explain about having a young Earth. But it's still explainable, because it's all a fabrication. You can't put a date on the time that it was stretched out. You know it was stretched out, but you can't say when, and you can't really say how far away everything is to begin with, because it's relative. Because the speed of light is relative, time is relative, space is relative. So you can't put a number on it like that. And it's a relative, it's irrelevant, because of the Earth's recent history of a global flood.